Welcome back. This is our third lecture discussing the Enlightenment. I want to draw some conclusions here, some sort of big general statements to help us place this in its proper context. First of all, the Enlightenment ideals were not readily accepted everywhere. Think of Russia, for instance. We talked about Russian absolutism, the long-running attempt to modernize Russia, to make Russia more like Europe, less backward. Enlightenment ideas were welcome in Russia because they were perceived as being modern, as being on the cutting edge. I think I mentioned Catherine the Great regarded herself as an enlightened despot. Other places, Spain comes to mind. Not so welcoming to Enlightenment ideas. Of course, the Catholic Church is very powerful in Spain. The Church is going to fight back and contest these new Enlightenment ideas. Born of the Enlightenment is this notion of Deism. I think you could probably characterize the American founding fathers as a lot of them belonging to this deist school. It's the notion of God as sort of a transcendent figure, not an anthropomorphical figure. He's not human-like. He's not someone you have a relationship with. Deism says that, what's the old analogy? That God's a clockmaker. He builds and designs the clock, turns it on, and then goes on about his business. So God created the earth and all that's in it, but he's not terribly interested in us now. So this is a distant and transcendent God. Of great significance, of course, is the impact of the Enlightenment on the French Revolution and the American Revolution. Of course, in France, the Enlightenment provides the intellectual underpinning for the attack on the feudal orders, the privileged orders, the church, and the nobility. And when we talk about the French Revolution in our next lecture, you'll see this. Another consequence here, the Enlightenment tended to change the nature of government, make it in time. These things take time. They don't happen suddenly. But this relationship between the ruler and the ruled is going to change. You see in the new United States, a republic is created. Of course, it was feared that this republic would fail because it would grow too large. And republics in antiquity had been city-states, essentially. You think of the Italian city-states or the polis in ancient Greece. So there's a new attitude towards government, a more open, a more representative, democratic ideas are coming to the fore. We talked about epistemology when we started this lecture. I think it's important to mention it here in conclusion. This epistemological revolution, born of the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment, fundamentally change the way that we know the world. Again, discarding the old traditional sources of authority, pushing superstition to the side, and bringing human reason and intellect to the fore. And then there's a technical aspect to this too, the creation of the invention of new things to help us explore the world. I'm thinking here of tools of observation and instruments of recording. You have the rise of geometry and calculus and machines of all sorts and microscopes, telescope, of course, with Galileo made famous. Statistics, navigational guides, astronomical instruments, all these things born of the scientific revolution, taking root here in the Enlightenment, and providing just a vast new amount of knowledge and new ways of knowing. And then the last thing I'm going to say here, and I've already mentioned it, but it bears repeating, is that the Enlightenment ideals are behind, or the bedrock of both the American Revolution and then the French Revolution to follow. And of course, we'll talk about the French Revolution in our next lecture. So that's it for the Enlightenment. We'll see the Enlightenment ideas play out in our next lecture with the French Revolution. Thank you.